Hello, and welcome to Conversations with Reverend G. I am Reverend Grenetta Mason, aka Reverend G, and I'm here every Monday night live on WEMS Radio. Each week, I have guests from all walks of life, from different perspectives. We come together and we share. And we share about life, we share about love, and we share about spirituality. Our goal is to touch, move, and inspire you and leave you with something that can support you. There's so much going on in the world these days. We wake up every day to something new, and oh my God, with all the killings and all the guns, what do we do? How do we manage in a world that seems like it's just chaos right now? I talk about spirituality from the point of view of how can it support you now. We talk about the spiritual toolkit. The spiritual toolkit is what practices do you have? It's very personal because each one of us, we have practices that work for us at different times. My guests talk about their spiritual journey and the spiritual practices that work for them. The goal is to support you in finding joy, finding moments of joy. I know with everything going on, it's not like we're always jumping for joy and happy, but it's really great when we can find moments of joy. You can find me every day on Facebook as Reverend Grenetta Mason with inspirational messages. I'm also on Instagram as Rev Grenetta. So tonight I have a very special guest, Reverend Salima Ira Swan. And I'm excited to have her here tonight sharing conversations with Reverend G. Hey, Salima, Rev Salima.
Hey, Gernetta, how are you? It's such a joy for me to be here.
Yes, it's exciting. I haven't seen you in a while, and I was thinking back, oh my God, how long has it been? When did I first meet her? And I was talking to Jasmine, and we were saying I was like the United Divine Church of the blah blah blah, right? Remember way back there, right? It was a long name to that church, right? But I'm excited that we met there, and I'm excited to have you on the show today. So introduce yourself, Salima.
Well, I am excited, and especially because I have never done an interview before.
Oh, okay, it's a conversation, so we'll
I
just
have never done a conversation in front of a whole lot of people.
right.
So this is a joy, and I really appreciate your inviting me for this conversation.
Mhm.
I am a country girl from Kansas
Mm.
who 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 grew up to uh, become an opera singer
Oh, okay. Wow. Hmm.
and and had the blessing to travel all over the world singing opera. And in the process of all of this, I've always been on a spiritual journey.
Hmm.
I consider myself a self-proclaimed mystic,
Hmm. Okay. Hmm.
which means that I grasp the essence of all religious paths and all spiritual paths,
Hmm.
and take that to help enrich my life and the life of those that I encounter and have relationships with. Um, I have done so many things in this life, Grenetta. Grenetta met me when I was right after I was assistant minister for another church, and then the both of us joined uh, another church together.
Hmm.
And I was a kind of newly ordained minister. This was back in must have been 2007, 8,
And yeah, because I think I remember 10.
10. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember 10 because Well, it was like 8 or 9 because I
Right.
went to One Spirit in 2010, and I
Mhm.
knew about One Spirit through the people from that church. So it must
Right.
have been 8, 9 around that time because we started there when it was right around the corner from me on 116th and Lenox, right?
Exactly.
That was like
Exactly.
the first space, right?
Yes, I graduated. I was ordained from One Spirit in 2004.
Oh, okay,
And from,
2004.
and from there, I worked with an interspiritual church called Tribeca Spiritual Center.
Mhm.
And when we folded, then the two of us met together
Okay.
at Divine Science. It was right.
United Divine Church, right? I mean, it was like Divine Science. United Divine was alone.
Right.
Divine Christian Church of something, right? But
Yeah.
it was there that my interest was piqued around being a minister and not necessarily a I just never thought I would be a minister, right? At all. It was just like something that was never in my realm, right? And meeting you guys and going to One Spirit when I went there, and my goal when I first went there, I was so excited to learn about all the religions. So that's what drew me there, to learn about all the different religions and all how all that works together. And afterwards, now I'm rolling into, well, what is it to be Reverend G, and what does that look like, right? And a lot of people think that, oh, people say, are you a preacher? Well, no, right? Do you have a church? No, right? But I feel that I minister to all the people around me, right? And one of the things I love about this that I'm doing these conversations is so that we could talk about spirituality in a way that really supports people, in a way that it's not so much about what religion you are, but how the practices can support you every day. Um,
Exactly. Um I was at One Spirit actually because I had been on this path of being a Buddhist, meditating with East Indian gurus, being a Muslim, praying in Arabic, uh, being an Episcopalian, all the religions. And I actually wanted to get ordained because I wanted to be a hospital chaplain. And at that point, they one of the prerequisites was that you had to be ordained. And so I said,
mm,
goodness, well, I don't really want to be a minister, but I want to be a hospital chaplain.
mm, mm-hmm,
So, um, so those 2 years at One Spirit uh, totally enriched and enhanced my life, and from there, I just I just knew that my ministry was that I was my ministry. My
mm,
ministry
yeah.
was my communication with everybody. I have been blessed with a few talents. Like I said, I sing opera. I teach piano lessons, and I've always felt that my voice, when I was teaching my voice students, I was doing spiritual counseling with them. So
Mm,
I always felt that with whatever I was doing, that was my opportunity to serve as as a spiritual person, as a person who believes that there is only one God, and that God manifests, that divine spirit is manifested in so many different ways and
mm,
in everyone.
mm.
So that's sort of my
So, yeah, you grew up. You say you grew up in Kansas, right? You grew up what, Christian, and then you explored, or how did you get to this point? What were your early spiritual or religious experiences?
I was raised as a Bible Belt Christian
Mm, 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 mm,
in Kansas. You can imagine. Yes, went to church, um, you know, every Sunday, Bible church school. I couldn't wait to go to college,
mm,
and so that I could explore other avenues
mm,
of spirituality and other religions. I remember being in church as a child, this Christian church, and asking my mother, why was it that everybody was praying to Jesus?
mm,
Because I'm going like, what happened to God? Why, and I didn't understand the connection. And of
mm.
course, I was told, you know, just be quiet and
Right, right,
just.
right, right. Mm-hmm.
I was the child who
Mm-hmm.
believed, who did not believe everything I read in the Bible. I'm going, something is not right with this story.
Mm-hmm.
How something is wrong. There must be another interpretation. And I had many, many conversations growing up and quote arguments with the real religious elders in my community
Mm-hmm.
about speaking in tongues, about God as this vicious judge that was
Mm-hmm.
going to make us suffer.
Mm-hmm.
I remember as a child, I would be looking around, going like, "Is God looking at me?
Right. You were waiting for it, right?
He's gonna get me." And I for this punishing God. And so my my studies in um, in different spiritual paths uh, really helped me to clear up and understand those things that I was reading in the Bible. I was an avid Bible reader, though I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even though I didn't quite go for everything that was in there.
Mm-hmm.
um, I just thought the Adam and Eve story was like, give me a break. I used to say to myself.
Right. I'm now, you know, I'm doing a Bible study and with my brothers and my sister, and I'm now understanding more, because I don't know. I read the Bible, as we did. We went to Sunday school, we read the Bible. And then after that, when I went to college, I didn't really read the Bible anymore, right?
Yes.
But I have done in many different parts of, as we're on the spiritual journey. As I studied A Course in Miracles, right, there was a part during that time where I wanted to read the whole Bible. You know how they have the daily Bible in a day? Have you ever gone through that whole thing where it tells you 4 times?
4 times.
Wow, I have never gotten through one full
Complete
time.
Bible 4 times.
4 times. I've tried. It's like on this day, read this, the New Testament, Old Testament, and I've gotten through some of it.
And
But
I've done the complete Quran 7 times.
wow, wow, wow. And so how has that enlightened your life, being a thinking about it from the perspective 4 times the Bible completely and then the Quran?
Okay, what I have developed into is a metaphysician.
Okay.
So I believe that every word in the Bible, every word in Quran has many different meanings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and as a Sufi, my Sufi sheikh is uh, Bawa Muhayyadin, and Bawa taught us that every word in the Quran has 77 different meanings. He
Mm-hmm.
just probably picked a number,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that I translated it to also mean that every word in the Bible has different meanings,
Mhm.
you know. So where do we find the meaning? And I have learned from my studies in A Course in Miracles that divine spirit gives us the meanings of
Mhm.
that. Divine spirit will let us know
Mhm.
what we need to know.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
we just listen, if we prepare ourselves to really listen to the word of God through different sources, through different readings, through different people, different experiences, then divine spirit will help us understand what is the meaning of the words behind the words.
Right. Because,
But
as you were saying that, it came to mind when we were growing up, they were like, oh, eventually you'll know how to read the word and you'll understand it as you read it. That was a lot of pressure to put on you to think that, oh, I'm not getting it now, but something will happen where I know how to read, right? But what's going to happen, right? That I'll get it later. That was a lot of.
but I was taught that only the ministers knew the meaning. And
Oh,
I was not taught that at some point God would talk to me.
yeah. I felt
So,
like at some
you
point you
know,
get to a certain level in reading that you'll read it and then it'll be like, oh, yeah, it starts to come to you and you read it and you get it. One of the things that supported me in understanding, although I like the King James Version, I have like different versions, like the Good News or another version that breaks it down in a different way to understand. So what I could say, like I remember some of the King James Version scriptures. I know them. I may not be able to tell you where they are, but I have heard them, right? And looking at them from the Good News or the NIV perspective, they're clearer, and I now understand. So that's how the understanding came from me. I don't think it necessarily came from me reading the King James version over and over again.
well, I began to understand the Bible by metaphysical readings, you know,
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
particular, A Course in Miracles,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
and other Christian metaphysical studies. You
Exactly.
know, they helped me to really understand what I was reading
Mm,
in the Bible.
me too. Right,
So
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
That was a way. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But I had a conversation just the other day with some people. We were talking about the difference. We were talking about retirement and how to counsel people that
Mm-hmm.
are thinking about retiring or that are retiring. And I am of retirement age, but I don't believe in retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I
It's a
believe,
perspective, right?
yes, it's a perspective. There is a difference between work and service.
Mm, mm-hmm,
Been
mm-hmm,
blessed so in my life
mm-hmm,
that very few times have I thought of the things that I was doing to get money as quote work.
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
always thought of it more in the realm of service, of
mm-hmm,
artistic endeavors, of doing those things that brought me joy. Uh,
mm-hmm,
I remember telling some people that a lot of times I felt that my students, I should pay my students because
mm-hmm,
I get so much joy from
mm-hmm,
them. And so my life is, especially at this point in my understanding, more of service in the service, you know. And I have I do a lot of little tiny different things. I am on the board of directors um, of an opera, of an educational opera program called Opera on Tap.
Mm-hmm.
And their purpose is to expose opera to children and adults in non-traditional venues. They
Mm.
they they take opera solos and duets to bars. They take opera scenes to playgrounds to children.
Mm.
Be taking opera scenes to long-term care
Mm-hmm.
facilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a group that I work with called Sisters of Sustenance. Now we started out as a kind of uh, weight management, health eating group.
Mm-hmm.
And our first text was Marianne Williamson's A Course in Weight Loss. And
Mm-hmm.
so we go through books like that, and a lot of different spiritual readings, and discuss ways that will inspire us to more healthy eatings. So
Mm-hmm.
I do that. And um, I don't know if you know, I just graduated from One Spirit's spiritual counseling program.
Oh, you did that too. Okay. Oh, wait. Let me ask you a question. What happened with the chaplaincy program? Did you ever go do
Oh
that?
my goodness, that's the most amazing story.
Okay.
I did it for about 7 months. And Grenetta, this is where I was at that time. It depressed me so. I would
Mm.
come home crying.
Mm.
I would I prayed over so many dying people.
Mm.
And the babies, the
Mm.
dead babies got me.
Mm.
And I just thought, and I would walk those halls. I was at Columbia Presbyterian,
Mhm.
and we had to be on call sometimes late at night. And I would walk those halls in tears, wondering,
Mhm.
you know, who was gonna buzz me, and I would actually be in the room when they were doing, you know, the pumping,
Resuscitation.
yes,
Resuscitation.
resuscitations that, a lot of people wanted the chaplain there. And because I am an interfaith, interspiritual uh, minister,
Mhm.
I was able to minister to people of
Mm. Mhm.
all
Mhm.
religions. But at that time in my life, emotionally, I was not prepared to do that.
Mhm.
So I just, after the end of 1 year, I told
Mhm.
them that I didn't want to continue, and it was really upsetting. But I knew what I had to do. At that time I had a young son, and it wasn't fair for me to know that I had to go home to my little boy, and I'm crying, and he's going, "Mommy, are you okay?" And I'm going like, "Yeah," you know, and
Yeah, I know. I couldn't choose. I couldn't choose that either. When I thought about all the different possibilities. One thing that I find interesting, you're talking about retirement, because I could retire, but my job is cool and it's great, right? So there's no reason to retire. I don't feel yet that there's that reason to. Um, at the same time, when I think about it, you said like counseling people who are ready to retire, what support they need. A lot of it, I think, comes down to what's next. What are you going to do if you say you stop working and now you're going to retire? And what options are, because I think about everything that I do now, I can continue to still be Reverend G, do Reverend G things, do the coaching that I do, even after leaving what I call my job. I say retire from my current employment, but not retire from life, right?
Exactly.
And what kind of things were you thinking of when you're talking about retirement coach?
Okay.
Right?
I I was a music teacher
Mm-hmm,
for the Board of Education
mm-hmm,
for almost 20 years. So um, and I basically loved most of it. Sometimes there were some rough times. So I quote retired from that.
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
retired from the Board of Education, which gave me more time to do my own private voice lessons, my own private piano lessons, and
mm-hmm,
have time to do my own uh, group facilitations. And
mm-hmm,
in counseling people that that are leaving a work situation,
mm-hmm,
uh,
mm-hmm,
I I want to ask them what it is that they feel will keep them alive and happy. What
mm-hmm,
activity,
mm-hmm,
what
mm-hmm,
kind of activity can
mm-hmm,
you would you like to do that can just keep you going? I have two stories. I'll tell the sad one first. The story of my precious brother who just made his transition in May, and he retired from the post office only like the January before, the December before, and died in May. And I kept, I was panicky. I'm saying like, come on, what do you like to do? You have to do something. You can't just sit at home and look at TV and you gotta, and of course the COVID was still going on. And
mm-hmm,
I said, there are some things that that you can do.
mm-hmm,
And my efforts to get him really engaged in activities that he enjoyed were kind of futile. But anyway, I don't think that that was the only reason that he died. But of course, he had health problems. But when I knew he was going to retire, I said, if this guy doesn't do something, it's just going to be futile, because he had the kind of job at the post office where he worked all night,
mm-hmm,
slept all day,
mm-hmm,
worked all night and slept
mm-hmm,
all day. And there were some things that he enjoyed, but he didn't have the opportunity to pursue them. Now, my other story
mm-hmm,
is my sweet Lorraine, I call.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Lorraine just turned 95 years old.
mm-hmm,
Lorraine, of course, has been retired for 100 years.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Lorraine goes out every day, every day to get food or to get something or to do something. She has to walk up a flight of stairs to her apartment,
mm-hmm,
and she, moving slow and has a cane. She keeps herself busy.
mm-hmm,
So I'm always worried about Lorraine. So I had a little nasty fall the other day,
mm-hmm,
and I said, "Oh, Lorraine, how are you doing?" And every time I say, "Oh, I'm fine," she's like, "Oh, you're always fine. I know something. Tell me something," because she wants to be of service.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
I told her yesterday, I said, "Lorraine, I had a fall, my knee, I'm on a cane."
mm-hmm,
And I was just kind of kidding. I said, Iman is busy. He can't buy me any food.
Mhm.
So she says, "Oh, I'm gonna come down there and get you something from Charlie's Chicken." She lives 90th Street. And I said, "Lorraine, I'm just kidding you. Tell you." She said, "I'm gonna be there at 1 o'clock."
Mm.
Trying to call Lorraine because you know how it was raining today.
Yes.
And I'm going like, let me call this woman and tell her to stay home. Honey, 5 minutes after 1, Lorraine was knocking on my door
Mhm.
with my food, and she was so happy that she could do something for me
Mhm.
because she always feels that I'm doing too much for her because
Mm.
I have to take care of Lorraine.
Right.
Lorraine says no, I
Mhm.
can take care of myself. So my my main idea for for people that want counseling uh, for retirement is, hopefully they want some counseling before they retire,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
4 or 5
Set up
years
a plan or
before.
something, right? Yeah.
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 So we talk about the plans, the financial plans, the this plans,
Mhm.
and especially what it is that you want to do because you are not retiring from life.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because when you retire, then you drop in the body before you,
Right. That's it. That's it.
if you do.
Um, COVID has been around for a while, right? And it's still around, right? What, as a reverend, right? What was the impact for you?
I love that question. And I hope people don't take this the wrong way. The experience of of COVID, of being shut down, of being whatever, was a blessing for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, number one, um, I rediscovered a a a gift that that I didn't really, claim that I had, which is writing poetry.
Mm.
So I um I am a member of an incredible um, course a course in miracles group. We meet every every morning, and
Every morning.
every morning
That's good. Yeah.
there's a lesson in a course in miracles
Yes.
every day. And the facilitator, a brilliant, amazing young man, one day said, and he's written a lot of books and had them published on um, Amazon. So he said, "Okay, I'm gonna give, I think he said 3 people or 5 people or something, an opportunity to get a book published on Amazon."
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going like, "Wow!" So he said, "All you need is 30 pages." And I said, "Oh, okay," because I had written poetry, some poems years ago and during college. And so I said, let me go hunt up some of my poems.
Mm-hmm.
So I went looking and I found about 10 poems. Now he gave us a time limit. He said we had like a month and a half or something like that. So I'm going like, okay, I'll be able to get, 15 more poems, um, to have these 30 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's when the miracle happened.
Mm-hmm.
That next morning, after my every morning I have a morning prayer or meditation. This poem came to me. These words just started coming.
Mm-hmm.
Going like, oh, okay. So I started writing. The next day, poem. The next day.
Wow.
By the end, I had some, was it 50 or 70 or something. The book is like 130 something pages. But there was something like 70 poems
Wow.
that I had. So during COVID, I discovered my real spiritual path,
Mm.
poetry writing. This is the way. This is my path of really, really, really listening to the voice of God, listening to the voice of divine.
Mm.
And it is such an amazing experience for me. And then, like, sometimes I think, oh, this poem was really, really great. And I'm going like, oh, I'll never be able to write another one like that.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
I'll walk down to the river, or I'll, you know, do whatever, or I'll hear some words, or someone in the miracle hood will say something, and I'll go like, oh, that's a poem.
Right.
So these poems come. So during COVID, I was so engaged with writing poetry, and I also woke up maybe a couple of months after it started,
Mhm.
and I said, I know there are some African Americans who have not been exposed to counseling, and
Mm.
they may really, really be open to spiritual counseling
Mm.
in
Mm.
African American. So because of that, I joined the interspiritual counseling program of
Mm.
One Spirit, and so I
It's
will.
interesting.
Uh-huh.
Um, when you say spiritual counseling as opposed to counseling, can you make the distinction? What would you
So
say the distinction would be?
yeah, so a psychologist, okay, is
Hmm.
trying to fix something.
Okay.
Okay, a spiritual counselor is a companion. We are listening,
Mm-hmm.
and we are accompanying you as you discover how to fix yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
How to use your spiritual path, right, and your spiritual experiences to to help you with your problems. And so
Mm-hmm.
we are companions, actually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're not there to fix any, we're not there to solve any problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Problems get solved,
Mm-hmm.
but it's through this beautiful loving companionship. It's not through like, okay, I'm the psychologist, and I don't diagnose. I don't tell
Mm-hmm.
anybody what you got and what your problem is.
Mm-hmm.
you know I listen, and then we talk about what spiritual activities may help them or accompany them to work through what they're going through.
Yeah, I asked that question too because I talk a lot about seeking help, right?
Mhm.
Always seek help. And at this point, too, with so much going on, we need a lot of support. I have my different communities and my friends, but some people just really don't have anybody. So
Mhm.
if we were to ask I'm a spiritual coach because I try to look at how spirituality in your life can support you in living your best life, right? So I look at it
Exactly.
from that perspective using spirituality. But in
Mhm.
terms of like really selling it, not necessarily selling it, but having people understand the difference, why would you choose rather a spiritual coach or counselor as opposed to non-spiritual? I mean, non-spiritual. What
Well,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah,
Um,
a spiritual counselor or companion, rather than going to a psychologist.
Okay, right there. We'll do it like that. And so it's interesting in take you took the spiritual counseling training to become that's going to support you in being a spiritual counselor. So I just think about it from that perspective. Like, where's the market? Who are the people that will choose a spiritual counselor? Where are they? And how do they, make the distinction?
I think a lot of people, and I'm just speaking in my culture, and I'm a Black American, uh,
Mm-hmm.
50 and above,
Right?
who all this religious training and or experience,
Mm-hmm.
but in our family we didn't go to psychologists.
No, we didn't.
We
No.
didn't go to psychiatrists unless there was some serious problem. You got put in the hospital, you
Right.
know.
Right.
But, but we did have ministers, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and ministers' assistants
Mm-hmm.
that people could go to a lot of times. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times they took advantage of it,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times they didn't. But
Mm-hmm.
I just feel that when people really know that there is another way, there is a way to talk to someone,
Mm-hmm.
to be in companionship with someone
Mm-hmm.
that will help you
Mm-hmm.
talk through or work through or live through
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that is preventing you from experiencing the love that is within you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Preventing you from seeing who you really are as a
Mm-hmm.
creation, as as a God created person, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
That is whatever it is that is preventing you from sharing with your family and friends and your work and your community
Mm-hmm.
that incredible love that is you,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the best person or the best professional, I think, to help you do that would be an interspiritual counselor or companion,
It's
because
interesting.
because the psychiatrists, psychologists are not necessarily going to go from a spiritual perspective. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people need spiritual, they want to go from, I know there's some fear and I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know there's a way. There's some things I don't really understand about the Bible, and should I really be afraid of God? And
Mm-hmm.
there's so many questions that we have,
Mm-hmm.
and I just feel that spiritual counseling is is a gift
Mm-hmm. Because
for.
it's something that's within each of us, right? That we know we're looking for something, a connection, something, right? From
Exactly.
all of us. And I think too, I think about it is how does spirituality support you in finding that thing? Because I agree that everything comes from within. So we talk about happy, when we talk about what it means to have happy, be happy and have joy, it's not about the external things because we just keep replacing them and getting more, right? You get your great car. Are you happy? Not necessarily from something that's external, as opposed to how does it come from within you? Where's the joy and the happiness from within you, not based on what you have?
Yeah, we have to have it inside before we can really enjoy it or get the peace and the joy and the love of outside, It's got
Right.
to come from here. You're right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's got to come from here first.
Right. And then working
How
to,
you're thinking, how you are perceiving, it comes from there.
right,
Yeah. A
exactly.
lot of people don't understand that it's not necessarily what happens to you, but it's how you think about what happens to you and
Mhm,
what you do after that happens,
mhm,
how you carry on. Do
mhm,
you carry on in fear? Do you carry on in love? Do you carry on in compassion? You know,
mhm,
do you
mhm,
carry on knowing that you're free,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we all have incredible, experiences that can bring us down, if you want to say, that
Mm-hmm.
can,
Mm-hmm.
that can that can stop us from achieving, from being the our best spiritual self, our best self, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
And as I think about it too, like even so right now, with so much going on and impacting so many people every single day, right? Um, there is this sense of how can we find some peace? You know, what can support us each day in finding that peace? Because looking outside may not necessarily be able to see it as the world is going through what it's going through now. So,
yes,
what sense of peace? What can bring you peace? Or how can you find that joy or that moment of happiness from within? Is really important.
I think it's very important to surround yourself with 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 people of, quote, like minds, people that that believe the way you either believe or the way you want to believe,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can continue to be inspired,
Yeah.
and so that when you have these experiences that seem to cut off your knowingness of the love that you are, there is that person who says, no, let me remind you who you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
let
that
me
community.
remind
Yeah,
yeah,
community.
let me remind you of what you can do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people want to live so much in the past,
Mm-hmm.
so we surround ourselves with a community or a group or a person that reminds us of now.
Mm-hmm.
This is who you are now. Let's
Mm-hmm.
work with that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So all that is is what happens
Mm-hmm.
when I'm in a spiritual counseling session.
What would you say are your top three spiritual practices in your toolkit?
Okay, so very easy. Well, number one, A Course in Miracles.
Okay. I did a Course in Miracles.
Number two, my Sufi studies.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, my poetry writing.
Mm-hmm.
Now that encompasses a lot. But those, that encompasses my incredible relationships, you know, that encompasses my staying on top of and being reminded of who I am, that
Mm-hmm.
encompasses my growing more and more into the practice of listening to the divine within me, you know. So it's a mixture
Mm-hmm.
of all of those.
So one thing I was going to bring back, Johnny Rogers said that ministers didn't retire because they weren't provided for, say, financially to be able to retire. So it's something that we don't necessarily think about, right? In terms of why they grow old with the church, right? But
Yeah,
that's interesting too because, and I guess that's it's so many churches, and sometimes we look at the mega church where the minister is bringing in all the money, has all the cars, and doing all those things. So retirement for them, they should set up a plan. But if we look at all the churches overall, they may not necessarily have a retirement plan. And as you said about the plan, it's very important, I would say, to create a plan, have a plan, start looking at what it looks like. And a lot of people also, financially is really important too, having a financial plan and start early enough to know what do you want it to look like when you retire. Um, so it's interesting. It's something I've thought about too, in terms of, I guess, when you get to retirement age, you want to be able to support people and what that looks like.
Yeah.
Um,
I was blessed enough, and I guess it comes from my Kansas upbringing,
mhm.
but I was blessed enough to listen to the voice that said, "Girl, you better have a situation that's that's going to bring you a nice retirement."
Mhm.
Okay, which is why I did I was a public school teacher
Mhm.
for that
Mhm.
time, and it's really interesting because I have a few friends that we decided to we were all opera singers or musicians or whatever, and we went into the public school system, and in New York they pay good, and,
Mhm.
and their benefits are good.
Mhm.
Manage to keep our little day job,
Mhm.
and and
Still do the
still
opera.
still were able to do our performing,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
But it is a very sad situation when people like artists and ministers and people like that from their 20s, 30s, and then they get 55, 60 and they have nothing,
Right.
nothing,
Mhm.
nothing.
Right.
So I was just blessed that I followed that voice within me
Mhm.
that said no, because I've always had the experience in my life and the knowingness that no one was going to take care of me but me.
Right. Me too.
I
Yeah. It
didn't
was
grow up with
something.
any
Yeah.
rich parents and any whatever. Nobody had any CDs, IRSs, PQs, not
No.
even bank account.
Right. Right.
Okay, so I knew that that when I reach my 60s, I better have something because
Mhm.
I'm not gonna have anybody to go to,
Right. 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 I understand. I
nowhere to run
understand.
to
Yeah. It
from
was
the side.
different. Yeah. Yeah. We did. And that was good for you that you guys were had your day job and were able to still continue your passion, your creativity, and be able to do that. That works out really good.
It did. It did.
What?
You know what? I also worked as a music therapist at a long-term care facility,
Mm,
and
mm,
that was a lesson of a lifetime
mm,
because I went to do music and to sing songs with these little people, and sometimes I would go there and they would have made their transition,
mm,
but I was going like, this is what it comes down to, Selena. This is it. You know, are you going to have enough money when you get that age to be able to afford something that that's not in a horrible uh, living facility,
mm,
whatever.
mm, mm,
So I was blessed enough to have real life experiences in my life that taught me to be financially prepared
mm.
for
Yeah,
retirement.
yeah. Well, it's been really great having you on the show today. And what are we gonna see happening with you next? What are you moving to? Are you still doing the writing? You published one book. Is another book on the way? Yes.
Yes, swan
Right.
songs.
Right.
And
Exactly.
yes, I have so many more poems. So
Mm-hmm.
another book is coming out also on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can go to Swan Song Vocals,
Mm-hmm.
Vocals, and
Okay.
see my latest poetry and read my latest.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Facebook at Swan Song Vocals.
Okay, okay, great. I was so excited that you were able to join me tonight, and we'll definitely keep in touch. I got your book, and everybody go get her book. Let's support her, right, with
Thank you.
her creativity. And thank you for joining me tonight. And all the best with everything that you're doing. I'm excited about what's next for you.
Thank you so much, Granetta. This was really great, and I appreciate your inviting me. And thank
Yes.
you, everybody out there.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Love you.
Love you too, honey. Bye.
Thank you for joining me tonight on Conversations with Reverend G. I'm here every Monday night, WEMS Radio Live. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also find us on the WEMS Radio app. Join us each week right here at 8 p.m. I bring on different guests. We talk about life, love, and spirituality. You have a great week. And don't forget to check out my daily posts on Facebook as Reverend Grenetta Mason, on Instagram as Rev Grenetta. Have a great week and live your best life with grace and ease. And I'll see you next week right here.